After almost over 8 years of waiting, the Switch 2 has finally been revealed, and so far the reactions have been quite mixed, which is quite surprising. Many people have been clamoring for a new Switch for almost years at this point, and to see people so upset is definitely a surprising factor. However, when we look at it, are these people upset for valid reasons, or are they complaining about something they shouldn't be at all? While anyone has the right to complain or argue against anything, today we're going to be looking at the validity of some of these Switch 2 counter arguments and see if they hold any merit against the actual console itself. Feel free to like and subscribe, as we are going to be posting a lot of content on the Switch 2 and Nintendo as a whole as we go into its biggest year in almost a decade, 2025, with the release of the Switch 2. So, with the Switch 2 finally being revealed after months and months of waiting, people are finally starting to react to it, and it's starting to look a little more bleak than what people expected. Not only is there worries about the build quality of the Switch, especially with the Joy-Cons once again mirroring what was so qualmed against in 2017 with the Joy-Cons, but also about the overall quality and purpose of the console as a whole. The worries can basically be summed up by this picture, which shows the worries about the Joy-Cons and the little chip that exerts from the outside of the Switch. We can see it in the trailer, and people are worried that basically taking out the Joy-Con will cause this little maneuver button plug thing to basically snap off over time. While this is a valid complaint and worry, should be known that Nintendo doesn't just produce these consoles on a whim, and they actually take a lot of time build testing and make sure the quality of the console is good and durable and will last for years, because these consoles are going to be played by children and they have to be durable. Another worry is about the Joy-Con falling off. I believe this may have been for the Switch 1, but if not, this still holds true. It basically just portrays that if you hold the Switch by the Joy-Con, then it will fall off with the Switch itself. However, this won't happen. The Switch 2 uses magnets to keep the Joy-Cons in place and not just the plug that you see. Because of this, the Switch 2 will not fall off just with the Joy-Con because it's magnetically attached, and these magnets are going to be strong. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with being worried about the quality or the basic necessities of a console staying intact, it's important to know that Nintendo isn't going to release just some crap on the market. This is going to be heavily durability tested with heavy factors to make sure this is an actual good product. While Nintendo has been known for some faulty products like the Joy-Con drift, just the last Switch, it is also known for the 3DS and DS, many of which people claim to be the most durable consoles of all time. I mean, there are countless stories of people finding their 3DS or DS just locked away in a closet and it still has battery life remaining from however many years ago they charged it, and I can attest to that. I've done an extreme amount of damage to my DS and 3DS, yet they somehow both still work. So while these worries may exist, and we'll just have to wait and see for the Switch 2 to come out to see if any hardware issues exist, it is unlikely that it's going to be as common as this discourse is before the console is even released. Well, there's many other topics of discussion on the overall quality of this console. I think it's best we move on to the next topic, which is the overall purpose of the Switch 2. So, Nintendo is a company, and while their main goal is to make money, just like every other company in the world, because that's how every company in the capitalist society that we live in works, Nintendo isn't just going to release a console every single year to make the most money. That wouldn't be a smart business decision, and people would eventually start leaving their company and their loyalty, because that's just not economically viable for most people on Earth. It's why Sega dropped out of consoles in the 2000s, because it just didn't make much sense anymore. People lost interest in their consoles and they stopped buying them. What sets Nintendo apart from almost every other developer is their lineup of exclusives. I mean, can you name a bigger franchise than Pokemon? You can't. Can you name a bigger franchise than Mario or Zelda? Maybe Zelda, but Mario and Pokemon are probably the two biggest media franchises ever. So with those exclusive lineups, Nintendo can basically produce consoles for as long as they want. However, we saw with the Wii U that these aren't guaranteed to be successes. Because of this, Nintendo was extremely careful with the Switch, and it turned out to be a huge success, basically revolutionizing the gaming market. Because of the Switch, we're seeing consoles like the Steam Deck be produced, and companies like Sony with the PlayStation having the PlayStation Portal, which is basically a handheld PlayStation on the go. So when Nintendo was making the Switch 2, they had to be careful. They couldn't just up and get away from the Switch format, because many people know Nintendo as the Switch now. Just like many people did know them as the NES or the SNES back in the day, people know Nintendo for the Switch. Like the Sabrina Carpenter says, switched up like Nintendo. I'm very sorry for that. Anyways, people are now talking about whether the Switch 2 should even exist or not. This clip basically sums up a lot of people's thoughts on the Switch 2 and the overall state of the market, with Nintendo being at a disadvantage. Well,
just based on what we're looking at, just based on how this is, okay, right? This is almost the most like nothing burger way to announce a system. And it almost leans on the fact that, hey, you know that thing you already have? You know what this 100% reminds me of? It's an iPhone, dude. This is an iPhone upgrade. It feels like the way new phones are marketed to you, and the capability of like, what are games going to be like in the future? When things like the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck exist, you know, when there's just so many different things about this that have existed ever since the Switch 1.
We'll say that this YouTuber, Max, does not exactly say this in the video. This is a heavily edited video. Please do not send any hate to him, as this is not what he said, and he cannot be directly quoted of any of these words, as it's not the full context. What he's saying is agreed upon by almost a lot of people. This tweet with over 1,000 likes that quotes this tweet basically agrees with it, saying it's a nothing burger device ever, with the most uneventful reveal ever in the history of gaming, that is so bad investors didn't even wait to 5 minutes to say, nah, thanks, we're out. This shouldn't be a Switch 2, it's literally just a Switch Pro. Steam Deck and Asus ROG Ally just make everything very irrelevant to me. Now, I'm sorry if my Nintendo fanboy comes out a little bit, but I just have to completely disagree with this. The Switch 2 obviously wasn't going to be something that revolutionizes the gaming market again. Having two back-to-back consoles like that would almost be impossible for Nintendo, and it wasn't going to happen at all. Nintendo learned from the Wii and the Wii U that just making a successor to the console wasn't enough. They had to be explicit, just like PlayStation was with PS1 and PS2, that this was a completely different console, and just naming it Nintendo Switch 2 does exactly that. Maybe it's true that it does feel like an iPhone upgrade, but that's what people are used to. People know that iPhone comes out with a new one every single year, that they have the choice to upgrade or not. However, with the Switch being almost 8 years old at this point, many people are tired of their Switch and they feel like it's falling apart, not playing games as well as it could, its batteries depleting, etc. Additionally, the Nintendo Switch is so far behind next-gen consoles like the PS5 that games on it just look so wrong. So if people need a handheld device, they're gonna go to the Switch. One, because most people don't know about the Steam Deck or the Asus ROG because those aren't name brands. If you ask most people on the street, they won't know what Steam is because they don't play PC games. However, if you ask them what Nintendo is, they most likely know. Nintendo was never going to sell their consoles or stop their exclusivity just because the Steam Deck exists. Like this tweet says, it is just really stupid to think that Nintendo would even not consider putting out a new console because the Steam Deck exists. Sure, the Steam Deck can play whatever PC game it wants and play whatever Nintendo game it wants through pirating, but most people won't want to or know how to go through that process in order to do so. These people don't buy a new Nintendo console for its fancy new graphics or its new looks. They buy them for their consistent and stacked lineup of exclusives like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, Pikmin, that consistently put out amazing games no matter the console, that keep people engaged and interested with the company that other companies like Steam and even Sony don't have as much of a strength because they don't have that reputation with their exclusives. Switch 2 isn't a nothing burger. It also wasn't necessary, but it kind of was. If Nintendo wanted to stay relevant, they need to release a new console to keep up with the PS5 and the Xbox. However, that doesn't mean they're just going to be releasing a console that's the same as one of those, because that's not what Nintendo does as a company. They focus on unique and creative ideas, and that's what set them apart since the start. It's why so many people love the franchise and company and choose to be loyal to them with their consoles and purchase the new one, even if it doesn't look the smartest, such as the Wii U. They know they're going to be getting high quality games, even if it doesn't come as the highest graphics as the Steam Deck or the PS5 or whatever. They know what they're going to play is going to end up being impactful and meaningful to their lives in a way that other games might not be able to for them. So in conclusion, the statement that the Nintendo Switch 2 is a nothing burger, I kind of have to disagree with. While its reveal could have been different through a more climactic way, I guess, the leaks kind of did diminish its specialtality. What kind of word is specialtality? Its uniqueness or surprise. The Switch 2 is definitely going to have a lot of surprises with us, especially in the games. you can already distinguish that it's a different console from how it looks, so that's really all Nintendo really needed to do with this, and I expect the Switch 2 to be a big success. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.